Oh, I get it. Like Lisa Frank. Do you have to be a certain age to understand that reference? I don't know. Maybe. What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Lisa Frankenstein. Let's do it.
Are you hot burning me?
Lisa!
Does he have more of a basketball bod or a football bod? He doesn't play sports.
So this is a coming of rage love story about a teenager and her crush who happens to be a corpse. After a set of horrific circumstances bring him back to life, the two embark on a journey to find love, happiness, and a few missing body parts. This one is rated surprisingly PG-13. There's violent content, bloody images, sexual material, language, sexual assault, teen drinking, and drug content. Good Lord. I don't know how they got away with the PG-13 ranking. I have no clue. It's very impressive. Proves that other movies can do it. And I'm not saying it's the dirtiest, raunchiest, bloodiest film I've ever seen, but I went into this expecting like a teen romantic comedy with a little bit of blood and gore. It's a lot more than that, coming to us from writer Diablo Cody, known for movies like Jennifer's Body and then Tully and Juno and all of those other good films. But this feels like the right wheelhouse. Zelda Williams, our director, does a nice job behind the camera, but it's the Kathryn Newton show, folks. I have been saying this for so long. We've seen some performances here and there. They're not the biggest standouts in the world, but when she's leading or co-leading a movie like Freaky and now like this, she is magnetic. Her performance here is genuinely awesome. The level of likability, even though she's playing a character who is supposed to be unlikable, talking about people at her school and romantically, people just, they don't really like her because she's the weird girl who came from somewhere else and something happened to her mom. Bit of a tragic backstory here, but it kind of pushes her in that direction, and she walks around aimlessly at the beginning of this film thinking, why me? Why me? But the fact that she's being played by Kathryn Newton adds that spark that a character like this needs to just take over every single scene that she is a part of. And the chemistry that she has with this corpse being played by Cole Sprouse, he does a nice job. I mean, he just kind of has to walk around, do the movements, all of that stuff. Not that anybody else could have done that. He's solid, but he doesn't have a lot to say. So it's really up to Kathryn Newton to own it, and she owns it. This film has Tim Burton vibes all throughout. I'm sitting here thinking this gothic type horror is not something that we often get nowadays. It has that Edward Scissorhands, and you're going to hear this in every review. So I'm not sitting here being different. I'm saying the same old thing, man. But how do you watch this and not get Tim Burton vibes? And I love the fact that everything matches up, from the personalities, the costumes, all of that. The costume design is great. The makeup on Cole Sprouse here, who's playing this just like walking zombie, it is so good. And the attention to detail in moments like that and on characters like that and looking at this aesthetic and the time period, that's what gives it that Tim Burton feel. But that's also what allows it to stand out as a film that, and I've seen some people say this on Twitter and I'm agreeing here, could become a cult classic down the line. It's not a movie that's going to make a lot of money right now, but it's going to do fairly well. People are going to watch it, but then they're going to talk about it and they're going to come back to it because this is a very dark romance. And I mentioned how dark the movie is. And it's cute at first. There's a spark and she's got some crushes and all the boys. And then that happens. And I'm like, oh, hey, whoa, hey, okay. Okay! And then it happens again. And then the path that they're on, you think it's leading them in a direction. You're sitting back going, I don't know if they're going, oh my God, they're actually doing it.
That's what she said.
In a PG-13 movie that's like a coming-of-age story, I'm going to applaud them for that. They made some risky decisions here. Now, I'm saying all of these glowing things about this film, but one thing I haven't really talked about yet is the overall story, the predictability of the journey that she's on, except for that one big thing at the end, but really how it comes together. And I found some issues with this experience within the pacing and the humor that they're going for all throughout, but I never really felt that the film was all that funny. It was cute, and it made me chuckle when the characters would do things and say things, but it was more about the manner in which they were saying it rather than the dialogue that they were actually given. And I think the script does struggle bringing all of those things together. It doesn't really feel like a cohesive movie. It also doesn't know what to do with certain characters, whether it be introducing someone that could make for another interesting antagonist, because there are a couple in this film. The girlfriend of the guy that she likes earlier on in the film, they introduce her, and I found that to be fun and entertaining. But every time they bring her back, I'm like, is this specific plot point going anywhere? And inevitably, it does not. And I felt that way about numerous plot points. You have Carla Gugino in this film, and she does an awesome job as always. A very small role, and that held significance as to what everyone's going through. But it feels like there are things that happen in this film, and characters just kind of get away with stuff until they don't. And the impact that they leave should hold more significance than it actually does. And even Lisa's motivations all throughout the movie, I kind of understood them in the beginning, but she'll do things and say things that lead me to believe she has this mentality, but the next scene, she'll do something that's quite the opposite. And so I really thought they struggled with her character and what her mindset and character arc actually was, because every time I thought she was learning this lesson, turns out she actually didn't, or vice versa. And so that happened. I'm trying not to spoil things here, but that happened all throughout the film. And while ultimately she was a compelling character and I was entertained by her the entire time, you know, the arc itself wasn't that great. I get it's in its own distinct world, but you have these big things that happen and certain characters are reacting in a strong way, but other characters, they're just like, yeah, okay. You know, why didn't you react more so? Specifically, Joe Kress. I mean, this is like the perfect casting. He's playing a dad who's just like, yeah, whatever, who cares? But there's some things that happen in this film, and he still has that mentality, and I'm like, dude, yeah, just show something. You break out of that mold for a second. And I mentioned the humor. The script goes for it at times. I just wasn't really responding to some of the bits, and they'd leave room for audience laughter, and it's more so, oh, this character's charming. I love this relationship. Let's continue that. And I do think we could have spent more time with her and the corpse, as opposed to some of the more silly stuff going on at the school. That's choice. I get it, but it didn't really work out for me. And so as you can tell, I'm divided on the film as a whole, but ultimately, I like the risk-taking. I like the attention to detail. I loved our main character, and so I am more positive than negative. But if you're telling me you saw a lot of issues within this film, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. But I was entertained. Before I give you my score, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like. And if you enjoyed the new intro, drop a like. Let me know what you think of it down below. Lisa Frankenstein is another great showcase of Newton's ability to take over a film. This strange gothic tale is one that really struggles with its humor and pacing, yet there is a distinct charm to it that is hard to deny. It's much darker and way more twisted than expected. If you're an adult bringing your younger kid, they may watch this and be a little freaked out, so I don't know if I would do that, but yeah, I guess I'd get PG-13, but man, it has all of the makings to become a cult classic, and I completely understand why. All right, I'm done talking about this. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. You can check out what I thought about Argyle here, and right next to that, a brand new Netflix series that I thoroughly enjoyed. Check it out.